what headless WordPress is, like at least heard the term once. Okay, so it seems like very less audience know about this. So when you think about WordPress, what do you think? You think there is a front end and a back end. But what headless WordPress is WordPress without front end. And what do you think of is this? WordPress looks like this, and there is also a back end with it. But what headless WordPress means is that there is no intricately tied front end, but what exists is a back end. Okay, let me clear this. Headless WordPress is about using WordPress only as a content management system and not as a front end. Headless WordPress does not decide the looks of the front end, and now let's explore this in deep. Here's how it works. In WordPress, there is a WordPress backend which is connected to the MySQL database, like this. And then there is a front end which fetches the data from MySQL database, and this is not headless. What is headless is when that WordPress backend spits out JSON API, it's like this. And then this REST API can be connected to literally any front end. But in this talk, I'll be talking about React front end. I'll be giving a live demo of React front end, and also will show you the code and how all of this goes. So there are a few basic assumptions I'm making here. First is you know what WordPress is. Second, you know a tiny bit of JavaScript. Yeah, that's it. So another thing, like why headless? If you have a WordPress and you have a front end with it, then why would you need headless? So reason number one, separation of concerns. Like if you are being using React, then you know what this is. But in WordPress, what I mean by this is that you have a front end team which will work on front end and another team on back end, and that will be how we will be separating the concerns. Creativity with modern frameworks. In PHP, you know it's all about reloading and then it fetches the data. It's all server reloaded, server loaded. But when you use modern frameworks like Vue and React, you can be more creative. It's not like you cannot be with WordPress. Just so you know, you can also use Vue and React with WordPress themes as well. But it's actually better to keep all them separate. Reason number three, not everyone knows PHP. Like, I'm frankly saying this in a WordPress conference, I don't know PHP. I knew it, but then I switched to JavaScript like an year ago, and now I forgot the PHP syntax. And I'm extremely happy that Gutenberg is bringing this shift in the WordPress ecosystem about JavaScript into the WordPress world. So WordPress isn't alone. There are many headless CMSs that you can use, and WordPress is primarily not a headless CMS, but it can be used as a headless CMS. Disty.io, Contentful, and Butter CMS, and there are so many more, but I'll be sharing why WordPress is what you should be using. Reason number one, world knows WordPress. Your friend knows WordPress. Your client knows WordPress. You know WordPress. 30%, okay, it's not 30% right now, but it's like roundabout 30% of web is WordPress. World knows WordPress. Second thing, it's easy to use. I used WordPress, like I made my WordPress blog when I was 12 years old, and the UI is so easy that everyone can do it. Installation is the thing that you might be looking at. Reason number three, well-documented API. Okay, there is a WordPress codex about just so this is the WordPress codex, and this is the REST API handbook. So most of what I'm speaking today is from here, and when I mean well-documented API, I mean this. This is well-documented. You have most of the use cases in here, and I'll be sharing you some basics about it. we all know WordPress it has a very large community, and there are many plugins. Like if you want some book reviews or issue tracking system, you cannot create it with WordPress using many plugins. You don't have to code it all from scratch. And then the reason number 5 is WordPress community. What are we? What are all of us? We are a strong community, and most of other headless CMSs are still building their community, which gives WordPress a pro con. Reason number 6, WordPress is free and open source. You all know this, it's open source, you can all contribute to it, and the community around it is very helpful. I learned a lot due to the WordPress community. So now let's move on to the technical aspect of this talk. So the REST API is called WP-JSON. So what is it? It's an endpoint, just like this. So I'll be showing you how it works. This is a sample WordPress website, and what I'm showing you is what if you put WP-JSON endpoint after it. This is what you see. I'm using a Google Chrome plugin which verifies the JSON, and this is how it looks like. So this is not the data that we want. What we want is then there is pagination. You can do pagination by, okay, I have to show you the Google Chrome window and then come back to slides, and then that is causing problems here. So I have to avoid doing that. So you can do pagination, and then you can do custom post tags. WordPress was made for bloggers, but in 2019 it can be used for literally everything. Like you don't want to manage only posts. You can manage recipes, books, issues, and an inventory of products maybe, and so on. So each one of them will be your custom post tag, and book is your custom post tag. Sticker is a custom post tag. Recipe is also a custom post tag. You name it, you can do everything at WordPress. But what you need to do is that the data of each of these custom post tags need to be served to their respective endpoints. Just like you can fetch posts, you should be able to fetch books. And to do this, there are plugins for that. CPP UI plugin. So this is a plugin that will help you create custom post types, like not just posts but books and reviews. And then there is ACF. ACF plugin, what it helps you do is you can create fields. Like for reviews, there is a reviewer name. So you can get such fields using this plugin. WordPress plus React. So this is, I'll be doing a demo of how it looks like. Okay. So just one small question. How many of you have played with APIs and fetched and done coding before? Okay, that's a really less of an audience, but so again, another assumption I'm making is that you know basics of React. So yeah, this is how it works. For the index page, what you see is this. When you go to home page, this is built in React, just like this. There is a home component, and you can see the code here. This is the home page, and this is the home page. So for the post page, I'm using Next.js, which does routing by default, and it's very helpful to do server-side rendering. In this demo, I'm not doing server-side rendering because it had few problems, and I was doing it really quick to just show you. This is the code for the post page. This page I'm talking about. So what it does, it is loads from this WordPress front end, I mean back end. This one, what you see, is connected directly to this front end that you see here. WC Pochi demo. Let's try changing something in the post. This is that post. I'll just add something to it, update. And when we go to this front end, this is not a WordPress theme, this is built in React, and that's what the talk is about. So you should be seeing the new title loaded, just this one. So how it works is like this. This is a post page, and to handle states we are using React. We set the loading to true. Use effect is like the lifecycle method in React. And what we are doing is we are fetching the post data. We are fetching post data with the help of Axios here. And so WordPress backend that you see here is this one. This URL is the WordPress backend. And what we are doing is we are just fetching the post and giving it a per page and parameter that per page it has to fetch these many posts, that is 10. Okay, let me show you one thing. When you take a look at posts, you see there is an ID, date, there is a slug as well, and this is about everything about a post. There is a title which is rendered like this, content, it comes in HTML, excerpt, and then author. So what you see this is, it's related to each other. So post with author of one. If you want to find that author, you can do it like this, /author/1. So if we do that, then we will find the information about that author. Okay, status 44. Oh yeah, this is not author, this is users. Okay, so then we find the name of the user, description. So what we will be doing is we won't be making fetches one by one. We will do one fetch at once. So what we are doing is we get the post data, and we are mapping each post with this WordPress data aggregator. This is a function that I created. So what this does is it fetches author, then it also fetches the media query, the media, featured media. The image that you see is that one. You see this one here. Okay, featured media, 0. That means there is no featured media, the thumbnail image to this, but this post has a thumbnail, just like this. You can see the ID of it, and then you can fetch that media by media/10, and then we see this. So how it works is you're fetching media and author, and then you're blending this with the data you got before. So if you had done fetches with React and JavaScript before, so you will get a bit of idea about this. And so we are fetching the post just like this. If it is loading, it's loading. If it's an error, post not found, and if there is a post, we show the image, and that's how it's rendered. So you can actually see the demo at this GitHub URL / Kumar Abhirup / Headless WordPress with React. So you can have this demo code here. Okay. So now let's get back to the slides. So this is a Headless WordPress starter kit by Postlight, and this is very handy. So you don't have to create everything from scratch, okay? That was just for the learning purpose, what I showed. But this is not the optimal way to do it. What you should be doing is you should be using some starter scripts to pull off all the data. And you can create with these three if you're working with React, Gatsby, and Next.js. So that when you say React, I mean create React app, or you can use Gatsby. With Gatsby, you can have GraphQL fetch your data, which is very, very handy. How many of you have heard this term, GraphQL? Okay, so yeah, I got the idea. So Next.js, this is what there's a server-side rendering of the JavaScript data that you can fetch. Then you can deploy with now.sh or Netlify. You can deploy front ends on now.sh or Netlify, and for the backend you can use your regular host as well. Let me tell you this thing that now.sh now supports WordPress, so you can deploy your WordPress instances on now.sh, but then your database instance needs to be bought from somewhere else. And if you know these things, you can use Azure, DigitalOcean, AWS to store them all in one cloud, and that's it, folks.